can we do reverse, I'm looking at my note, can we do reverse, like whose attorneys with that property? Like I know the client, I know they have executor is a niece and nephew doesn't show up. I know have a client, they have no children. And how would I know who's their attorney is and to be connected to them? How would is there any public record or some kind of a record I can find out?
Right. So in one resource you can have, I don't know about Costa County, what's available for free online. In some cities or counties, you can search public records online and find out if you know the decedent's name, and it'll have the attorney that filed the case perhaps available. If not, you also can subscribe to services. On my website, the LAProbateExpert.com, I have on the far right probate resources and a list of different data sources. You can buy a data source in your county for like $70, $80, $90 a month and get all the filings. We'll have the case numbers, the petitioners, and the attorneys. So that's what I do. I buy the data, and that way I have a research of them.
So you're the reason I get all the calls.
No, I don't call. I don't email. Or the opposite. What happens to me is people come to me with a property, and it's in probate. I can look it up and see who the attorney is, and I can judge, is the case going to happen, not going to happen, and but yeah, no, I don't actually market directly that way. I know companies sell that as a marketing approach. I wouldn't do it. Now I might, if I had a client who knew Zach, right? I might have a client who's a divorce attorney, or a client who's a DUI attorney, or a corporate merger acquisition attorney. I might say, well, by chance, a colleague who does probates. I'd like to learn more. And I might call Zach and say, hey, Zach, I'm Bill Gross. Not soliciting for business. I'm learning the probate business. I'm a real estate agent. I'd love to learn more. Can I buy you lunch sometime in San Diego? Be available on Tuesday or Wednesday for lunch. And if I'm nice and I sound like I'm not going to bite his head off and slash his throat with my business card, what would you say to an invitation for lunch?
I say yes all the time, but I like the network. I'm out there hustling.
There you go.
But I would say typically estate planning and probate attorneys, not probate litigators, probate administration attorneys, they typically got into that line of work because it's a little bit more mellow. You got a nice life balance, so they're more receptive to networking calls and meetings and lunches and coffees. Than they have more time than I probably would have as a litigator. So if you're looking to meet with somebody that has litigation as a primary practice of them, they're going to be a little bit more difficult to get a hold of, versus a solo that does probate administration and estate planning. They probably don't work on Friday and go home at 4 o'clock on Thursday, kind of type of life balance.
But if you're hunting big game, just bring a bigger gun and stalk them a little better.
There you go.
Lizzie?
Well, yes, the last question, where do you go network?
Where do you go network, Zach?
I do a lot of my networking with other attorneys and then real estate agents. It's a huge source of business for me. Title reps. Title reps are huge. I get 4 or 5 messy probate cases a week from title reps because they'll look at it and they'll think we're all set, and then they get into escrow and then they try to go write title insurance and they can't. For some reason, underwriting says no, and then they call me and say, hey, can you fix this problem and save escrow? And sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, but if I can, I'll give it a shot. I've managed to do that a couple of times recently where we save it in escrow. But you got to get creative. But the title is a huge area to get in touch with attorneys that do this work. Great. And if your title rep doesn't have a probate attorney, they need one.